The Spanish ambassador has been summoned to the Foreign Office to explain plans to charge €50, that's about 43 quid, to cross the border from Gibraltar. Live now on the phone, Gibraltar's Chief Minister, Fabian Picardo. Chief Minister, a very good morning to you. How tense is the situation?
Good morning, Eamonn. Gibraltar is incredulous at the remarks made by the Spanish Foreign Minister in an interview this weekend with a Spanish newspaper, ABC, but calm, because you see, we've seen this all before. This is the sort of saber rattling that occurs, in particular when the Partido Popular are in power, every 6 months or so.
Yeah, I should explain to people that Britain has held sovereignty over Gibraltar for 300 years. And we're talking about 2.6 square miles, 30,000 people you've got living there. The economy dominated by offshore banking, internet, gambling operations and tourism. So why has the relationship with Spain been worsening recently?
Well, principally, this is an issue of sovereignty, of British sovereignty, which the people of Gibraltar want to maintain, not just over the land of Gibraltar, but also the waters around Gibraltar, which the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea recognizes as British. And the current Spanish foreign minister has made very clear from the minute that he was elected that he was going to do everything possible to reverse that. His first very undiplomatic remarks when he became foreign minister was to say that Gibraltar was Spanish. The next thing he said was that the joke that Gibraltar represented to him was over, and this weekend he said the party was over. Well, I think it's more likely that Mr. Malagallo's political career as a minister will be over before Gibraltar stops being anything other than 100% British on land and at sea.
I'm just looking at the tweets that we're getting in here, and part of this dispute at the moment, of course, is at sea, and a lot of people wanting to know, why are you building a reef in what they say Spanish waters? You may dispute that, but tell me the story about this reef that you're building and why the Spanish object to it.
These are definitely British Gibraltar territorial waters, and the reef is designed to bring back life to an area that has been dramatically overfished. In fact, recently, only one Spanish fishing vessel has been fishing there, raking and raking in exactly the same place. And it's necessary, from the advice that we have from the foremost experts in marine conservation, that we should bring back life to that area by the creation of this artificial reef. An artificial reef, I should say, which is identical to the ones that Spain itself has set up in the Bay of Gibraltar and around the areas of its coast near to Gibraltar. The difference is that Gibraltar paid for its own reef, whilst the European Union paid for most of the Spanish reefs.
And a couple of questions to ask you. What are the European Union saying about all of this? I know you've made a complaint to the European Commission.
Well, we've made a complaint to the European Commission about freedom of movement at the border, because you'll know that last weekend Spain set up filters and controls at the border in order to create lengthy queues and inconvenience the elderly, the very young, pregnant women, anybody who was trying to cross the frontier, in really quite a barbaric act of bullying. So we've made representations to the Commission that is responsible for ensuring that the freedom of movement guaranteed by the EU treaty is upheld. The EU has traditionally tried to stay out of the Gibraltar issue and ask the United Kingdom and Spain to resolve matters bilaterally. Of course, the United Kingdom will not engage bilaterally with Spain on any issue to do with sovereignty, and the people of Gibraltar must be represented at those discussions.
I must say, Chief Minister, I've had the pleasure and the privilege of landing at your airport. It's one of life's experiences, it has to be said. It is. It's an unusual runway, and then you close down the runway to cross the border. And if the queues aren't too bad, that's also a fine experience. But if this charge was to be brought in by Spain, €50 to cross the border, what realistically, if they were able to do that, what would that do to your tourism?
Well, what would it do to the 10,000 Spanish workers that come into Gibraltar every day? They'd be on the hook for €100, 50 in and 50 out, when they might earn less than that in each day. So I think this is really quite a silly remark for the Spanish Foreign Minister to have made. He's saber-rattling a la North Korea. It almost makes one feel as if you're listening to the politics of Franco in the 1950s and 60s.
Okay, just looking at the tweets and things that are coming in. People just generally saying this is not about fishing rights or concrete blocks. It's just a latest excuse here, and as you say, it affects the rights of workers. The Spanish want Gibraltar back. The Gibraltarians wish to be British. Democracy and common sense must prevail. Chief Minister, thank you very much indeed for airing this. We'll be taking comments on our programme throughout this morning. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Eamonn.